Okay, boys and girls, so we just went through and took a look at our matrix together. Now we're going to focus on the next part of writing an informational essay. So we know that now that we've read and we've coded the text and we've really thought about the information and we've completed our matrix and our plan, now it's time for the next step. So writing the introduction. Now right now in your brain, you should be thinking, what do I know about introductions? Well, first of all, we should spend about 10 minutes writing our introduction. Now, if we spend a little bit more, that's okay, but that's kind of our goal. The informational essay introduction includes 3 parts. Think in your head, what are those 3 parts? Right. The first thing we want to make sure we include is a good hook to get our readers' attention, get them interested in what we're writing about. We know that a good hook can include a question, maybe a startling statistic, maybe that's like a detail from the article, or possibly a riddle. I will say, boys and girls, that some of the essays that are scored by the state that receive like the highest score in reference to their introduction often include a riddle or a startling statistic. So those are 2 types of hooks that often sometimes score just slightly higher than maybe a question or restating the prompt. Now the next part of our introduction must include sentence number 2, references the task. So we have to mention the task. We also need to mention our big ideas, and our goal is to have 3 of those. So again, just to kind of recap, we have sentence number 1, which is our hook. We have sentence number 2, which states the task and our 3 big ideas. The third sentence, look at that, has to sound right. We know that sometimes that sentence where we try to list our 3 big ideas can be kind of tricky. Sometimes we even have to break it into 2 sentences. My suggestion, read that sentence out loud to yourself and ask yourself, does this sound right? Is this a complete sentence? The last part, a strong closing statement. Now there's something we want to mention here. We are now away from maybe a strategy that I think maybe you were taught in 3rd grade where it says like read on to learn more. We're not doing that anymore. Now we are going to try to avoid talking to our reader and really focusing on how we can include that last sentence to include a strong closing statement. So let's take a look at Mrs. Boddy's introduction. So we're going to kind of break this apart line by line here. What creature is green, covered in scales, and causing problems all over South Florida? The green iguana. Now, I want you thinking, what type of hook did Mrs. Boddy include? You might say it's a question, but it is actually a riddle. You got it. I'm requiring my reader to think about the creature I'm describing before I answer that question and tell them the answer. All right, let's continue. Invasive plants and animals can be harmful to the native plants and animals and people. That is sentence number 2. That's where I go on and I mention my task. And I mention my 3 big ideas. So my task is referring to invasive plants and animals and the problems that they are causing. Can be harmful to the, and did you catch my 3 big ideas? Native plants, animals, and people. Native meaning they lived there before these invasive species were introduced or started taking over. I know my last sentence needs to be a strong closing statement. Everyone needs to be educated on the problems caused by these non-native plants and animals before it becomes too much to control. Something that I've included here, an exclamation point. We know that from our grammar videos, that just kind of creates an emphasis, and it also includes a variety of sentences. So, variety of sentence types. On your rubric, that is actually an area that is referred to and scored so that students are including different sentences. Remember, we have questions, statements, commands, and then I've also included an exclamation point here. So we might even call it like an exclamation. Really, again, referring to more like your statements and your commands. In this example, I'm giving a command, right? You need to become educated before these become a problem and they are out of control. So just including those different types of sentences. All right, guys, today you're going to write your introduction. I can't wait to read them.